All right, today I got my Victor Wooten beanie on, my Les Claypool underwear on, and today we're talking about bass. And we're gonna be talking about bass, how it works in music more generally, though my focus is more on how it fits in rock music with guitars, because that's what I'm qualified to talk about. This is the first instrument that I ever bought. You can tell by the stickers, this is a 14-year-old's doing. When I was a kid and I found slap bass, I thought, wow, what a novelty that in this one particular weird genre, bass is actually really important. Not at all the case. It's just in slap bass, it's the star of the show. It's definitely not that bass isn't important in other genres. The more I learned about music, the more I learned just how important bass is. Let's talk about how to get a good full sound with a rock band. Drums, there's your rhythm. This is right at the bottom, the foundation. And then on top of that, you add the low frequency bed of bass. And in music in general, you would consider like the drum and bass, you might have another like rhythm guitar on it as the rhythm section. That is the foundation of the song that everything else can stand on and be elevated by. Then you can put your top lead line guitar, your vocals. Those sit on that foundation. You take the foundation away, and then it's really nice, but it's not a song. I've particularly learned in my career doing the wild metal covers that if you have really solid drums, really solid bass, you can put just about anything on top of it and it's gonna sound awesome. Jake is cracking up now.
I'm thinking about the automaton.
Yeah. That was my next. The automaton in this context with a really solid drum and bass sounds awesome. On its own, like, automaton is still awesome, but it's a lead instrument. It is a squeaky high, like type of instrument. That's kind of the trick to those videos. How did he get a shovel to sound so good? I didn't. I really worked on the rhythm and bass. Yeah. And then you can put the shovel on top. You find what's unique about those instruments and then find a way with the rhythm section to lift them up. The shovel on its own, the intonation, it's wildly out of tune. There's a lot going against the shovel, but if you can build a rhythm section around it, you can make it sound awesome. You wouldn't want to listen to just a super distorted, wildly out of tune shovel on its own for 4 minutes. It's the bass underneath that directs how it hits you. Like the sitar, for example. The things that make a distorted guitar sound really heavy are like the opposite of what a sitar does. But with a really, really good bass track, sounds heavy as sounds brutal. You take out that bass and rhythm, it doesn't have that fullness. That special quality to it, plus a great rhythm section, make really killer music. Shout out to Sitar Metal.
That's a band?
That's a band. They're called Sitar Metal.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And they're awesome. I think my best example taking a non-metal instrument and making it sound really heavy is the heaviest banjo in the universe video.
Oh, yeah.
The Gojira one. Every part of that song just happened to be really, really strong. That was where all the pieces came together. That's my favorite of the banjo covers for sure. And in large part because we got a real deal, amazing, real drum performance from the drummer Krim that he had already did, and I asked him if I could pay for to use it. And then on top of that, I put a rock solid bass track on it. 2 upright bass tracks in 2 different octaves, low and higher, and then plus the electric super compressed Schecter Stiletto 5. It's a combination of those 3 things, and it is rock solid rhythm section. And so that can make a guitar riff like this. And banjo is like the exact opposite of distorted guitar in every way. You can still have that riff on a banjo, and with that rhythm section, it sounds awesome. And then we have Leo on top too. And then inversely, on times that earlier in my career when I skimped on the rhythm track a little bit, I would get to adding the banjo or the shovel and be like, why doesn't it sound as good as it did last time? Especially Church of Deviants. With like bad programmed drums with no feel. And this like bass track, I really skimped on the bass there. And then it's just this super high pitched banjo. And it just doesn't sound good, which is too bad because that song is awesome and it could be amazing if I had done the same thing I did with the Gojira track. Just wasn't experienced enough. That one hurts. Another even more extreme way. In metal, a lot of people don't appreciate the bass. Getting on my soapbox here. And this cuts bass players to the core. I'm sorry, everyone. This is, get ready. You'll say, wow, the bass player's really great. And then someone will say, I can't even hear the bass. And I feel like I'm gonna cry just saying it out loud. Can't even hear the bass. Here's why that's the case in metal. Here's what makes for the big, huge guitar metal sound. You have one guitar playing on the left, and this is just in your left ear. And then you have someone on the right side. They're playing the exact same thing. And that gives you a stereo spread, so that makes it sound bigger. And then in the middle, playing the clear, not distorted note to give you that sonic information, an octave down, you got the bass. Like, that's the sound. Even if I'm doing like crazy H-string stuff where the bass isn't down an octave and these are all even playing the same octave, I still have the bass right in the middle. Like here's Mudhook, one guitar, and this is playing super low. This is like the same octave. One guitar here. You're gonna need headphones. Another guitar here. Just the bass. All at once. Those three things is what makes it sound like one huge guitar. Metal is drums and one huge guitar. One massive ogre snarling grizzly bear sound, but you need three players to do it. Bass player, I'm here for you. Gotta respect the bass. That was mixed and mastered by Fluff.
Hey, Rob.
He used to mix and master all of my music. I learned this from him. I was still using this. And you don't need to start your musical journey with an expensive instrument, you just don't. But here, I was still using it and the bass tracks were very thin. Fluff was getting very mad at me. 'Cause he's like, I have to do so much to these tracks to make it listenable. And this was kind of an epiphany moment for me as a musician. He told me, your guitars sound bad because of your bass. Get a good bass guitar. Ask Schecter for one, something that I can actually use, and your guitars will sound better. And that's the truth. You won't hear that I've upgraded from here to here, but you will hear that my guitars sound way better.
Huh.
Yeah, I was a professional metal musician, and I needed to be told that. This instrument I've used on like just about every bass track since then. The bass is part of the foundation and not the main thing that the general audience is focused on, except with some notable exceptions like Victor Wooten and Les Claypool, whose underwear is really coming up on me right now. Bass is usually part of that extremely crucial rhythm section, not what people are gonna be humming in the shower later. That's another reason why people don't really like bass solos. If you go to the high stuff, the foundation drops out.
Yeah.
It's not that bass can't do high lead stuff, because it can. The bottom drops out. So of course the solo doesn't sound good. It needs bass underneath it. This was like an epiphany moment for me on bass solos.
Yeah.
Even if you have guitar music that's really complicated and complex on its own with just the guitar, like here's an Yvette Young guitar riff. That on its own is already like filling out a lot of space, like way more than a vocal line. But Yvette Young's band, Jessica and Brandon, bring them in there, and then it turns into this. She has a solid, amazing rhythm section. That process as well, like it seems simple. This is another revelation after being a musician for so long, is that often the most challenging music to make are the parts that are simple. You might listen to the bass and be like, oh, that part was just 3 notes. And think it's easy, and it's not, because you're building the foundation and you have less to work with. The guitar can go nuts and you can add as many notes and they're gonna fit if they're on a solid rhythm section. Figuring out that simple rhythm section to lift it up and put it in the right place is a really cool experience, and I wonder what, I could probably just call Yvette and see what she thinks. Also, it makes me feel cool that I can just like call Yvette Young and she has a good chance of answering. Oh, we got her! Yvette!
Are you filming right now?
Yes.
Can you call me back in 5 minutes?
Oh my God, are you in the bathroom?
Yeah, I'm in the bathroom.
Yvette!
I'm not like pooping or anything.
Okay.
See you in a minute.
5 minutes later.
Hey dude.
Bye.
So I'm doing a video right now called Why Bass is Unappreciated, something like that. And I used Covet as an example.
I'm so stoked about this topic. Bass gets a reputation for being like boring. No one wants to be a bass player. You actually have a lot of power. I don't know why I'm doing the Italian here. I think the rhythm section has a lot of power and has a very exciting job. You can either lock in really hard and help a section groove like extra hard, and you can totally alter how the part is heard.
Like you could have the same guitar part and still have movement. The mood of the song still changes just by the bass changing, and the guitar is doing the same thing throughout.
100%. And like if you introduce tones into the equation, you can really play with dynamics and like taking things away, adding a nice crunchy distorted tone, really thinking up the section. So I think it's really exciting. Writing guitar, obviously my favorite, but I get extra excited to put bass on it because I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is my chance to really hammer down how I want this part to be felt. You know, sometimes it just feels different and it makes you like, it's like, where do you want to head back?
Yeah, the bass is where you want to dance.
Yeah. Also, another thing I get excited about is doing like an octave down in some sections just to like thicken the part.
Dude.
Thick pit.
Yeah. Yeah. In metal songs, particularly where I'm using really low tuned guitars, most of the song, the bass will be in the same octave. But when I want the pit to open up and for the venue to be afraid of it being demolished, I go down the octave. And sometimes it's accompanied by like pure synth bass just to get those super, super low tones.
I love that. I've been obsessed with getting as low as possible.
Yvette, thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love talking about this shit.
So go see Covet, Yvette, Jessica, and Brandon on tour. It's a rootin' tootin' good time. I think that's the video. In conclusion, bass rules. Bass players rule, and people just don't realize it. So go out and give a bass player a hug today, and us guitar players, for far too long, have... Oh, getting another call.
Nice try, guitarist. Your kind words are useless. The bass will take over the world, with or without your help. Checkmate.